This video is brought to you by Cracks Only. Check out the link in the video description below to get to their website and check out their latest products. Trust me, you do not want to miss them. What's going on, people? Good morning. Welcome to United View. Happy Tuesday, 9th of January, day after the night before our epic cup win. Big cup win against Wigan.
Epic.
Satisfied everyone. Epic, you know what I mean? Thriller, goals galore, massive performance. But no, listen, good morning. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone's doing good. Smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new, and welcome to United View. If you're a regular, if you're new, etc. We are only a couple hundred off of 160,000 subscribers as well. So it'd be amazing if you guys could get involved. If you have not subscribed to the channel, please do if you are a first-time watcher. But before we get into it, because we've got so much to talk about, as you can see, loan close, exit close. Martial talks to Fenerbahçe. Could he be leaving in January? Is this the time where Martial is going to leave? I mean, we have seen him leave on loan before to Sevilla, which didn't work out well, but we know we haven't renewed his contract. There's lots of talks about that as well. I want to talk about some of the performances yesterday as well. Some people still in their feelings about some of it, so we'll touch a little bit on that. And Ten Hag does need a striker. He said we'll explore the loan market and we'll look at some of the things that he said. But before we carry on with that, this video is brought to you by Cracks Only, as you can see in the video. Cracks Only, look at this, look. LA streetwear brand and footwear brand. So it's not footwear, football brand, soccer. Yeah, you could say that. You could say that if you're out there. I'll let you say it this one time. But they got all your stuff. If you play ball, from your grip socks to your undergarments to your cycling shorts and compression shorts, etc., right through to your just normal everyday wear, streetwear, hoodies, tees like this. They've got caps, they've got beanies, they've got backpacks, they've got wash bags, you name it. Cracks Only got it. So the link is in the video description below. Check it out. Here's a little number I've got, a little black and white number. I mean, little LA based Cracks Only. There you go. And plenty more where that came from. So look out for it on the show and for a lot of the work we are doing with Cracks Only. Really excited for that partnership over the next few months. Anthony Martial. Big shout out Ricky. 9 a.m. yes. on a Tuesday. Shout out Martial, because this will be devastating news to Ricky.
This is quite an interesting story, actually, when it comes to Anthony Martial, because on the face of it, I suppose it does make a ton of sense. Not necessarily the exit, but the manner of the exit. So this really comes from Sky Sports News. It comes from Mark McAdam, big up to him, who is saying that Manchester United are currently in talks with Fenerbahçe, who would like to do a deal for Anthony Martial. And you go, right, must be permanent. He's only got 6 months left on his contract, 250k a week. United aren't going to extend his contract as well. But he continues by saying, a permanent move in this January window might be expensive for them being Fenerbahçe. However, a loan has not been ruled out. So this is one to keep an eye on. He actually went on later to say, but Anthony Martial's days at Manchester United seemingly are numbered. The reason I say it doesn't make a lot of sense, Flex, is because when a loan move for a player that's got 6 months left on his contract that you can then get for free in the summer, the only way I can get my head around it is if it's just Man United just being like, we just want to get wages off the books. So if they're willing to take some element of his wage, we'll do it, because we realize that, yes, he's available for a free transfer in the summer. So we're not going to sell him permanently in January. No one's really interested, or they can't afford it. Maybe the minimum they can afford is a loan where they just pick up some of the wages, I guess. But what do you make of all of this? And particularly considering he's been absent for the last however many weeks.
Yeah, we was talking about that before we went live. I was saying to Owen, I was like, 5-week absence of illness. I don't know. That I don't like running a conspiracy thing. Like, look what Ange did the other day when I think it was James Green at Sky said, about Eric Dyer. Like, he's been ill for quite a while. Don't question my integrity, mate. All right. If I say he's ill, mate, he's ill, mate. It's nothing to do with the transfer, mate. Like, but it does happen. It does happen when a player is sort of out of sorts or they're going to loan him out. They either get really limited game time. Well, look at Donny. Donny was like out of the matchday squad most of it. Then when he was on the bench, he's just never going to come on. And the Martial illness feels a little bit. There's quite a few players who've been ill over the festive period. Little week here, 2 weeks there, maybe a game here or 2 games there. But this must be some illness, and it still might be. So I'm not gonna hang my hat on it and be like it's a disgrace. He definitely ain't ill. I'm just saying the vibe that it's giving me of the extended layoff. I'd probably feel more comfortable at someone else's downfall. That sounds quite bad, actually, more comfortable. But with the line of like Martial's picked up a knock or an injury, I'd be like, he probably has, because that's just what always happens. But this extended illness, I don't know. I think there's something going on in terms of his future. And you're right, Owen. There's not, for him to go now, there isn't this thing of like, okay, because for the summer we can revisit it and X, Y, Z. It literally is just as part of what we're doing. If we can clear any wages right now where they will take these big wages off our books, even if it's by half, we're doing it. But hear me out on this. As unavailable as Martial is, right? As unavailable as he is, as the lack of quality he might show when he's not in the mood. Because actually, when he is in the mood, like we said, the stats last year showed that when he did play, we were a better team. I don't want to take that away from him. We scored more goals, we created more chances, and he, scored us quite a few goals, surprisingly, in the limited appearances that he had.
Crazy, yeah,
which was crazy. So you can't. I do agree with that. You can't just act like that didn't happen, but you also can't use that as a basis to say, see, we need to try and keep him as much as we can because X, Y, Z, because we know that's just not what it is. We need to quit with that. But however unavailable he is, or whatever caveats are above Martial's head, Højlund still needs help. He still needs help. And if you let Martial go, okay, fine, undo it. I'm not going to be mad. But to let him go and not go and get the cheaper Motin or the whoever that may be, I don't really think we should be doing that. We can clearly see his struggles, Rasmus Højlund. And I'm big on it now about talking about why Rasmus Højlund's really struggling. And it's all of the 3 things that I said yesterday: his age, his quality at this stage of his career, and lack of support and help. Do you know what I mean? And a 4th one, actually. Well, support and help comes into 2 in terms of having a striker who can come in and say, don't worry, kid, I got your back. I'm going to play the next 2 or 3 games, or you can just come off the bench for free games. We don't have that luxury in Martial. And then support in terms of the rest of the team providing chances, blah, blah, blah. So I can see the problems with that. And if you say to Martial, see you later, which I get is understandable, and don't bring anyone else in, we'll be in a worse position. Although Martial is currently out right now. So how available is he? So if someone could just say, listen, Flex, he's hardly ever fit anyway, we'll deal with it. But we saw what happens when Rashford goes up front.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, when it comes to Anthony Martial as well, I mean, you're just seeing some of the stats on the screen. You do kind of forget how young he still is as well. Because I say young, he's 28. He's 28. His contract expires, end of this season, 30th of June, 2024. And it is a bit of a strange conversation, Anthony Martial, because whenever you bring him up, you do get a very polarized reaction, don't you? Because there are some still to this day that are like, no, he's a good player. He's got something to offer. He's just been unlucky. Manchester United have failed him. When we brought him in, we had all of these high hopes and expectations. He's been moved around in all of these different positions, and the medical staff at United haven't treated him properly, and it's led to getting to a point now where, as you mentioned, a player that should be in his prime, we're talking about him being on the downward trend, and he could go to Fenerbahçe, but we don't think the injury issues will still be as they are right now, right? So it's a strange situation. But I kind of spoke about this yesterday when it comes to Martial. I'm not going to sort of discredit anything that he has done throughout his United career, because I think it's a bit disingenuous to say, because I've seen some of the media stuff. You see those social media posts. I think even TalkSport did one, being like, is Anthony Martial one of the biggest flops in Man United history? And you go, well, he's not. Clearly he is not. He has scored goals and he has contributed at times, but there also becomes a point where you have to sort of just go, enough's enough. He hasn't completed 90 minutes for 3 years and he's on 250k a week. That would not happen at any other club. It wouldn't. And Anthony Martial isn't the problem, but he's a symptom of the problem, which is a player that shouldn't be on 250k a week, shouldn't really be at the club anymore. You can't rely on him. He's not consistent enough. That might be his fault. That might not be his fault. But eventually United have to sort of cut bait and go, right, not worked out. We have to move on because 250k a week could be going to a striker that is in his prime and is available every single week and can score goals consistently for United at a time in which we need it. So I don't. When those things came out last week and it was, people were freaking out. We're in talks. I mean, it feels like a lifetime ago already, but we're in talks about extending Martial's contract, and we're like, well, we're not. It's clear to see that we're not at all. I'm thinking he'll go either at the end of the season. Like I said, this Fenerbahçe loan thing, the only thing I can get my head around it is just United are just so desperate to get some elements of money off the wage books that they're like, we don't even care. Like, that it doesn't make a lot of sense. Take him on loan to the end of the season and get him on a free or something like that. We're not even looking for a transfer fee at this point because we know we're not going to get it. My only concern is sort of how much does Martial want this January move? Because there could be a part of him that says, look, I'm on 250k a week. There's no reason for me to leave until the summer. I'm not going to get that money anywhere else. I'm not going to get 250k a week going to Fenerbahçe, or even unless maybe go Saudi in the summer, which he could. I could see him doing that move. But apart from that, he ain't getting 250k a week, and he might be like, look, for the sake of my family and stuff like that, I'm sticking it out. I'm waiting until the end of this end of the season. If he is legitimately dealing with like a bit of a longer form illness, whatever, you never know. It could be like long COVID or something like that. He might be like, you know what? I'm just going to sort of try and get myself in the best condition possible, build up this my money, and then go. And I can't do anything about that. And that goes back to being a symptom of the problem. They can't do anything about it.
Yeah, they can't do anything about it. But they're willing, like you said, they're completely and utterly willing to listen to an offer if somebody wants to buy him now. Absolutely, definitely, because he's only got 6 months left. And if someone wants to loan him, I think they're interested in that too, because I think they don't want to get to a situation. I think it's more about making sure Anthony Martial finds somewhere. And it sounds harsh, but make sure that like somebody's going to want him. Like if they want him now, it's fine. I know like in the summer, it's like, well, you go anyway. You're just a free agent. Do what you want, mate. But like if someone wants him now, they can get those wages off. And then that can help in the loan market as well with what they're trying to do. It's more to do with that. Because if you look at the fact that Donny van der Beek's gone out, I was told that frees up a little bit. Jadon Sancho's going to get his move to Dortmund. Let's not mess about with that. They're still ironing things out, but it's going to happen. That gets a few million quid off the wage bill. Let's see what happens with Facundo and Hannibal. Even Facundo, they're saying could even be permanent. We'll have to wait and see on that one.
Same about Hannibal, possible buyback clause and stuff like that.
Possible, exactly. So those are things that, and this is bottom of the barrel stuff, guys. Don't get to it. This is proper trimming, like nip tuck. This is proper, like okay, well if we send him, that's 1.1 million. Okay,
it's behind the sofa territory, isn't it? It's under the sofa. Let's say maybe we got a quid together. We got a quid together, then we can go shop and get some food. You know what I mean?
Yeah, proper whip round settings. The ice cream man comes outside and you can't find no change, like Owen said, back of the sofa. But the corners of the drawers where there's crumbs in there. Or maybe that's what this is. We're not dressing this up to say this is brilliant by Man United. We're in such a good position. We're just alluding to the fact that this is what this bit is. And this is what this bit still has to be until it can be undone over windows by starting to make good decisions from now. This is right at the start, hopefully, of undoing the crap, which is going to be so much collateral. There's going to be so much embarrassment. There's going to be so much deals that you're like, oh, bloody hell, again, another stopgap here. Oh my gosh, how have we not got him out for more money? Look at the youngsters we're selling. They're hardly going for any money. It's going to be that until it's not that, if you get what I mean. And I just think with Martial, it's about if he can go now on loan. That's why the bit where Owen was saying there, you're like, oh, it doesn't really matter for the summer because it doesn't mean anything exactly. But it's about the now. It's actually about trying to get players out in these couple of weeks left or 3 weeks left of the window so we can maybe bring in someone who can help Højlund, which isn't going to be Martial. That's what I think it's about.
No, I agree. And actually, I suppose it goes quite well into sort of the next story with Erik ten Hag when he's talking about possible movement in January, any targets we could be going for. Now, this comes from a tweet from Fabrizio Romano, but Ten Hag was talking after the game. And he had the following to say, Ten Hag on possible January loans for Manchester United. We consider everything the best interest of the player and for us, our team. We will see how it progresses during the window. And I think basically, like you said, Flex, what he's kind of alluding to is if we sort of generate enough, we'll probably do it. And the strategy is not very difficult to kind of dissect, is it? They're trying to get rid of a load of people, or as many people as they can, even if it's not for a lot, even if it's not permanently. They're trying to get some money together, and then if they get enough money together, they'll go and try to get a loan signing, and most likely it's going to be a striker. That's kind of all of the noises suggest it's going to be that. And people might be wondering, because like Timo Werner now is going to Spurs, and I always say this about going into the January window, now that we've done a couple of them here, is that there is a select group of pool of players that's available in January. Timo Werner was obviously one of them, because clearly his agents were putting that out all over the place. You can get Timo Werner in January.
He's available.
We get linked to him because that's what the agents do. And I'm sure United were looking at it going, well, if we get the money together in time, maybe we'll have a look at him. But we don't have the money together in time at the moment, and he goes Spurs. But even then, suddenly the freak out happens on social media of like, wow, why didn't we get Timo Werner? And it's just kind of like, well, we couldn't get him. We don't have the money. We don't have the money. It's the same as like last year with January. And I think that striker that we do get, because I still do think we'll get a striker in January. I do. I've said before, I thought it would be 1 loan or 2 loans. I still think that.
Max.
And remember the way that Weghorst happened last year, where it was literally just like overnight they went, United getting a Weghorst. And everyone went, nah, bullshit. They're not getting Weghorst.
Well, then there was the love triangle for a little bit.
It was like, they got to figure out Besiktas and all that kind of stuff. But like it was someone came out of nowhere. We were like, wow, I can't believe they did that. It's going to be like that again. I think it's just going to be.
But we're less surprised this time, I think.
Yeah, but we're surprised in terms of like the signing, but more surprised in terms of the name. I don't think the name's always even.
So you don't think it will be the cheaper? Yeah, it won't be the cheap promoting thing yet.
I don't think so.
Because it was a Boubacar for a while. Yeah, I can't remember who else it was. It wasn't Wout Weghorst was at the back, innit? He wasn't really.
Because remember as well, because Weghorst was on loan already at Besiktas, everyone went Weghorst, and went, how he's on loan this year? How's that going to work? And then obviously we ended up giving some money to Besiktas as well and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I think it'll be a bit like that again, but I think it'll be later on in the month, because as of right now, they're still working on getting those players out. So once you get, I think particularly the Sancho one, once the Sancho one's confirmed, that's done, then they'll be like, right, we've got something we can play around with. And maybe they're sort of looking at Martial going, we want to obviously get him, if possible, off the books, at least partially in January. And if we do, then maybe our sort of ceiling can get a little bit higher with how much we can offer someone. And maybe that opens up a different level of player, because let's face it, it's gonna be Weghorst-ish, isn't it? Yeah, that's what it's going to be.
Chris Randall, latest member of the UV Members Club. Big up to you, Chris. You get your exclusive membership perks. You get your emojis. You get your priority chat. You get your exclusive call-in at a full-time view as well. And you get your UV Raw episodes as well, which is like behind the scenes, what happens on match day, and not just match day, everything behind the scenes actually at UV, whether it's HQ, out on the road, traveling around the world, you name it, it is in there. So that is part of your exclusive perks. And when we did our quiz as well, you sort of get your access to that. So when we do our quizzes, which we'll do a lot more frequently, which everyone really enjoyed, you get exclusive access to join us and play along with us. If that's a big up to Chris, you're part of that movement. And Tarbo says, thank you for the super chat. Tarbo says, sad about Martial. I feel if we did this right, he would have been world class. Agree, he has to go though. Just before we move on, because it is, I mean, maybe this part is kind of like a video for another day or a segment for another day, but we are talking about Martial, and just off what Tarbo said there. While you've been talking, I've just been digging up his stats across everything for Man United. Martial, 317 games, 90 goals, 55 assists. And he's won, what's he won? FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Europa League. And what else has he won? Has he won two EFL Cups as well? Actually, he's won. Yeah.
Me too, yeah.
So he won 2 of them. Couple charity shields. How many charity shields is that? Oh, there you go. 1.
100.
Oh, no, Super Cup. English Super Cup winner, yeah, because when we won that. And then the Nations League, winner of the UEFA Nations League as well. When did he win? They won that with France, did he? Don't remember that. And Europa League. So look, it's not, basically what Tarbo's saying is if we played this right, he could have been world class.
I suppose in Man United, if he was at a club that maybe would have taken better care of him, sort of physically, and not moved him around in all of these different positions, I suppose as well. It's a sort of unique signing, wasn't it? Because if you cast your mind back to 2015 when we signed him, that was one that came out of nowhere, and no one knew who he was. Like, we signed Anthony Martial, everyone who, and they went 50 million. Everyone went, what? Because it was right towards the end. And then when he was named on the bench against Liverpool that first game, everyone was like, I have no idea what to expect. I know, but we were excited though, because whenever you sign like, how old is he at the time? 18. Whenever you sign like an 18-year-old for 50 million and come from France, and was like, oh, and then he scored that goal against obviously Liverpool. And then what people forget is he had a decent run of form coming out of that as well, and he was scoring goals. I remember he scored a goal against Southampton, and he's spun Van Dijk. Yeah, exactly.
And Yoshida.
So it is unfortunate, but really for him, like his last go of it was last season, wasn't it? Because even that, going into the season, I remember going into preseason last season. And people were like, when it became apparent Erik's playing Martial up front, everyone went, that's a bit of a risk, because he'd just come off obviously that bad loan move at Sevilla. He'd been injured a couple of times. He'd fallen out with sort of Ranić and Ollie. He was on the way out.
Preseason, he was brilliant.
But then, like I said, everyone went, I don't know about that. And then preseason, he was brilliant, and he played all the way through preseason as well. And everyone was like, right, here we go. Anthony Martial is back. And then literally, I remember it was like the Friday before we played on a Sunday. The Friday before, it was like team news, Peachy, team news, Erik, Martial's out. And everyone went, what?
How?
He's out.
How? Yeah.
How? And then that just became a thing all season, where he'd be out for ages. He'd come back in. He'd either start or come off the bench. He'd score or assist near enough every time. And then he would disappear for like 6 weeks, and he'd be like, what's team news? Yeah, Martial's out. What? How has that happened? I mean, even like towards the end of the season, when Erik's doing that speech against Fulham, and you just see him rubbing his sort of hamstring.
Yeah, he got injured in the speech.
Next thing you know, he's not only missing the FA Cup final, but then he missed all of this preseason.
That's crazy. From whatever that was, where he's like, oh, hamstring.
Yeah, it's missed it all. And again, I think that was, and it became sort of obvious, about 2/3, maybe even halfway through last season, that Erik had kind of realised, he went, I've probably made a bit of an error here, because the fact that we had to go get Weghorst, and I know that wasn't original plan, because I guess they thought Ronaldo was going to stay until the end of the season and all that kind of stuff, but can't dress it up. We were relying, particularly from sort of January to March, we were relying solely on Wout Weghorst, which as a Man United is madness. And we're really doing the same thing this season, just swap out Weghorst and put in Højlund. I'm not saying, Rasmus Højlund is as bad as Wout Weghorst, but I'm saying that we're in the same position where we're like, once again, it's just him. It's just him. He's the only striker we've got, and he may or may not be ready for that position. He may or may not be good enough, and it's going to take time, and you feel bad for him. In the same way that eventually you started to feel a bit bad for Weghorst last season, because you went, he should be here.
It became a little bit of a, not a joke, but like, we did a bit of a mocking session. Like, people obviously laugh at the name and stuff like that. And I was talking to Kevin Hatchard yesterday, as obviously European football expert. And it's so interesting. And this kind of moves the conversation on a little bit to the cheap promoting thing. And hear me out on this, guys, because this isn't like, I need you to understand this. This isn't like, oh, Flex has been in at Sky listening to some people on the continent, and now he's telling us that, Erik cheap promoting. So what you're saying is the future of Man United is Erik cheap promoting. I'm not about to say that. But when you listen to different opinions, especially people who really know players outside of this continent and have a different perspective, Andy Brazel was saying the same thing. I thought, let me just listen to what he has to say and what he means. And he was like, Erik cheap promoting. First he was talking about Wout Weghorst. He was like, honestly, Wout Weghorst, like, in his like actual career, I'm not saying he's Man United level, but like his numbers have been okay. Like for Holland, he scored some massive goals. He's just got them through to the Euros again. He came off the bench, obviously, in World Cup and scored massive goals for them in, the quarterfinal. He said his record in Germany was good. His record in Besiktas at the time was good. He's always been sort of a steady Eddie. He gets decent goals and stuff. Not saying he's Man United quality, but then the perception on the continent versus here is these sorts of players are clowned. And I get why, because we're Man United. What do you mean, Wout? Like, we shouldn't have that. We shouldn't have that. And the same with cheap promoting. He's like, last year, he scored 17 in the league, had to hold the mantelpiece when Lewandowski left and Matt Mane wasn't doing it. And they had no striker. And they panicked and went, tell you what, we need to stick this guy up front. And he just did his job. Before that, he just chips in with goals here and there and understands his role. Like he's just the third guy or the second guy and can just come in, good around the training ground and a good person to have. And actually his reputation with Bayern fans, PSG fans, like on the continent, he's just a good professional. He's someone good to have about the place, can fight for you, chip in with a couple goals. But you bring it to England, it's like, what on earth is this?
They remember
Stoke.
Stoke, don't they? They remember
Stoke,
Stoke, didn't they?
5 goals. You know what I mean? 35 games, relegation. You know what I'm saying? So, and I'm not saying that because he's done all right up there, it's like, oh yeah, just see, no, he can be good. But what I'm saying is, and this is what I talked about in my piece yesterday about like separating the emotion versus the practicality, because we're in the same position again. It's like he or somebody is going to be better than having nobody. And that is really crap. It is shit. And it has to be just to the summer. So you send him back and then you go from there and get some more permanent resolutions, because we're tired of banging our heads against a brick wall doing the same thing. But this situation, guys, is not going to go away, especially right now in January. And you've got 2 options, or maybe 3. You either keep Martial because there's too much movement to do and we can't scrape across the couple of millions to make stuff happen. And there's 1 game a week. So you go, listen, whenever he is fit, just let him pitch in. We know what that looks like. You let Martial go and then just say, well, it is what it is. He wasn't available anyway, and keep leaving Højlund by himself. Or you try and raise a couple of million just to get us through to the end of the season. Like those are your options. That's it. There is no, but why can't we get better quality now? We know that. Don't waste your energy, breath, you know what I mean, on talking about that right now. That we can do 10 shows on why Man United is in the state it's in, what's going to happen with Ineos, what they can do now versus what they can't do now. All we can do is talk about the controlled variables that we can control now. And that's why the cheap promoting thing, the Timo Werner thing, it was Muller for a bit. And like Owen said, probably going to be some other random person we don't even know yet. That's why it's probably going to make sense to do it just to the end of the season. And that's with 1 game a week. Last year was fighting on all fronts. Had to do it then.
And I think also as well, this when it goes back to, like, for instance, the Varane discussion. And this is why I think people have got kind of mixed up with Varane, because they think you're maybe sort of scapegoating, or you're focusing just on Varane. You're saying Varane's the problem. And they're not. I don't think anyone's saying that. I think it's just a case of, to avoid situations like we're in right now through FFP and all this kind of stuff, like, we just can't have players on that high amount of wage if they're not going to be playing all the time. And that's not just Rafael Varane. That's like all of the above. You saw Marcus Rashford last night, and you're like, oh my God, this guy just got a new contract. He's been playing shocking, awful. How much is Rashford on? Is it like 300? It's about 300K a week or something, isn't it? That's not 300K a week player.
It might be more. I think it might be 354.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot. Maybe like his base salary is 300, and probably with bonuses probably gets way above. But like, that's the problem, is, again, those wages are out of control. And if you do want to sell any of these players, we can't do it. It's like the Martial situation. We're like, well, we can't. Like, if Anthony Martial was on, say, 100K a week, 150K a week, the discussion about selling him right now, even with 6 months left in his contract, would be a bit easier. Or the loan would be a bit easier right now, because you could say we can get rid of probably quite a bit of that. So that's what it comes back to. Not just focusing on Varane, it's focusing, like I said, they're symptoms of the wider problem at United. And everything at United seemingly circles back to recruitment, in that it always comes back to bite us in the ass eventually, particularly with those big contracts. And then we find ourselves, like you said, with a similar January like we had last year, where we're sort of scraping around to try and get a loan to make up for bad recruitment, or not enough recruitment that we didn't do in the summer, or trying to make up for mistakes that we made, like, 5 years ago or over the last 10 years when it comes to contracts and not getting in the right players at the right time. So it's all just a mess. And I think when it comes to like the cheap promoting thing, I do think you bring up a decent point with last season. People do sort of forget that he was playing a lot for Bayern Munich last season.
He was the main striker,
because they didn't have Lewandowski, and they went, right, we'll get rid of Lewandowski. And then it was like they'd kind of earmarked getting either like Kane or someone this past summer, and obviously they got Harry Kane in the end. And then, like you said, cheap promoting folks back, and he's like 34, 35 or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But it's better than I've seen this, and I mentioned this on the Full-Time View last night, and I don't know where this rumor comes from. I think it's just like one of these weird social media things. But can we stop the narrative of, let's just get Karim Benzema? Let's just get Benzema on loan. Have you seen that? Let's just get Benzema on loan.
I haven't seen Benzema.
Oh, honestly, Flex.
I haven't seen that one.
It's one of the weirdest things. Like, let's just get Benzema on loan.
Yeah.
In what
how much
reality,
is he going to cost?
In what reality are we living in? One, like you said, we could afford even a fraction of his wages. 2, why on earth would he want to come to us as well? Pretty
Yeah.
good mates with Cristiano, Eddie. I don't think maybe that one might work out. If he was going to go on loan anywhere, because, you know, people are starting to turn on the Saudi league, the players that play there and all that, he'd just go back to Real Madrid till the end of the season, because they're getting Kylian Mbappe in the summer. And they'd be like, hey, let's just a little bit of a holdover. Then you can figure it out at the end. Like,
Yeah,
what?
Benzema would be crazy. I
What?
mean, I
It's
haven't
just,
seen him play in the
oh,
Saudi league, so I don't know if
like,
he's struggling or not. I don't
it's
know if he's,
just it's
but the
that
money.
rumor. It's not even a rumor. It's just let's just go get Benzema. Let's just go get any great player flex. Let's just do that.
Yeah. Is he even still like? What's he like? Has he been like terrible over there? I don't even know. Like, I know a lot of players are wanting to come back now as well. But what
Last I saw, I saw
is
when he
he
was
even
playing
doing?
in
It?
the
I
Club
thought
World Cup, and like, he missed
scored
a
a penalty.
penalty.
Yeah, I thought I
I
saw him
saw that.
score one. Oh, that's a different one. Look, obviously Benzema's Benzema, but like you said, come on, let's just stop trying to do this whole. We're trying to go round the back of the sofa. We've just said that, like
Because in their
scrape the
minds, they'll
pennies.
go, oh, let's get Benzema. And then when we'll get Choupo-Moting, then they'll be angry that we got Choupo-Moting over Benzema when we were never
Yeah,
getting Benzema. The fact that we go,
yeah.
started with Benzema, now we got Choupo-Moting. That was never happening.
Yeah, it's never
That was
happening.
not a thing.
We can't afford it unless Benzema's on a madness where he's like, "Listen, peas is not a thing. I don't care. Like, putting my wages down by 3/4 by 75% drop. I don't. Then I'll come for 6 months just to say I played in the Premier League for 6 months. Unless he just does a madness where it works. But I don't see how that happens. Like, no. And what does Benzema look like in this league now as well? That's an interesting one. Team Nathan says the Tony slander annoys me. The club did not nurture his talent. Remember, he was 18 when we got him, and nothing has been stable at the club since. Dan says, good morning, UV. When Mount returns and hopefully replaces Bruno, we will score more team goals with or without a striker. Why are we loaning Palestri out? Question mark. I'll talk about that in a second. Good little talking points there. Just under 1,000 people watching live. Only 145 likes. Come on, guys. I know you can do way better than that. I know you can push. I know we're engrossed you in the chat today with what we're talking about. A lot of big topics going on. But please smash a like on the video. Also share the video as well. Let's get to over 1,000 people watching live as well. Remember, you get your comments in, get your super chats in. And remember, this video is brought to you, as you can see, top right-hand side corner of the video, brought to you by Cracks Oli. Got my Cracks Oli t-shirt on here. Anything from your grip socks if you play football, your compression shorts, and all your different football gear as well, your wash bags, your backpacks, right through to your streetwear, hoodies, t-shirts, cargos, tracksuits, you name it, vests, shorts, everything, all there. Really good brand, really good up and coming brand. Met them out there in the States during tour, doing really, really good things. Crack Solid got some MLS players with them. They got some college players with them as well. They're really doing well. And yeah, trying to come over into Europe as well. So yeah, Steffi Jenkins says compression socks. Yes, exactly. I don't know if you play. Get your grip socks, get your compression socks in there. Well, not compression socks, but you know what I mean, the grip socks to make your boots nice and secure. Yeah, make your boots locked in. Right. I wanted to talk about this bit here. Just quickly, Team Nathan says the Tony slander annoys me. My bit on that before I move on from Martial. I look at it and it's failed on both sides. I don't think he's reached his full potential himself. By just his own development and his own kicking on and the way he plays and, you know, how much he wanted it. And definitely injuries the last sort of 3 years. Because I don't remember. I mean, I think I remember after the Ollie season where him and Rashford were good. Then he started picking up these injuries. And it's like, I don't remember him being this injury prone before. He was never this injury prone before.
Yeah, he
This
had that big
last
knee
2
injury,
years.
didn't he?
Yeah, and he was
never
out
really
for
came back.
ages.
Yeah.
I remember arguing with KG about this one time when we was on a Flexing KG show. I think it was last season because that was the first season in a while where he'd been out like that, like just gone. And he was like, we knew this would happen. He's always been injury prone. I'm like, he hasn't. Not like this. Not like you said, he had that big knee injury, but he'll have little niggly things, but never what we experienced last season. That was just, whoa, something's going wrong here. This guy's body's breaking down. What on earth? And it must be really tough for him as well to be, you know, 27, 26, between 26 and 28. He's had some of his worst years. And that shouldn't be. He should be in his prime. And I do think he was unfairly treated or sort of analysed a lot of the time with lazy analysis of his playing style. And looks like he's not running. He doesn't smile. Look at his eyes. He looks like he don't care. You know, the way his arms go, he just looks like he's not trying. And people mistake sort of running around like a blue-ass fly for quality versus someone who knows how to play the game, plays with a little bit more of their head, can knit things together, neat, tidy. But can cut a frustrating figure because in some games you're like, there's no intensity there in some games. So I just think it's like anything really. It either goes all left or all right. It's never sort of evenly distributed. And I feel like at times, same with Pogba, at times there was like people just piling in saying, come on, there's so much more wrong than that. That's not that. And then there's times where you should say it, where it's like, yeah,
it's a bit of both, isn't it?
He's not trying. It's a bit of both.
It's a bit of both.
But what we do know is that his whole time hasn't been. It's not a flop, but it's not lived up to what we thought.
Yeah, I compare it to yesterday. I compared it to a bit like Jack Wilshere at Arsenal, where eventually you want to see it come good, you want to see it work out, but eventually once the injuries do rack up, and they're never available, eventually you just have to go like, I guess it's not really worked out, which is a shame. And like you said, I agree with what you're saying there. That I think it's so. It has to be black and white to people, isn't it? It's like, it's all the club's fault. It's all Martial's fault. And you go, it's a combination of everything, isn't it? And I agree. Some of the analysis on him over the years has just been lazy. It's been rubbish. He doesn't smile, so he's lazy. Well, no, it doesn't work like that. But there are some games where the effort ain't good enough, And so it's the right time. The contract's coming to an end. It's the right time. Moving in the different directions.
Yeah. Speaking about players about to return, but there was a super chat here from Dan that basically says when Mount returns and hopefully, in Dan's word, replaces Bruno, we will score more team goals without a striker. And he also asks about why we're loaning out Palestri, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But on that, returning players, let's just talk about who they might be, what Erik Ten Hag said, and then maybe talk about a little bit what Dan just said there as well about Mason Mount.
Yeah, so when it comes to some players returning, Erik Ten Hag was asked after the game last night which names could be back in time for the game against Spurs at the weekend. Ten Hag said, quote, some players are hopeful that they can be back for the weekend. Christian Eriksen, potentially Luke Shaw, Harry Maguire maybe. Mason Mount needs some days or a week more. Now, interestingly, didn't say anything about Casemiro and Lisandro Martinez. I mean, he was asked, I think, before the game, and he sort of suggested that actually it still might be a couple more weeks because he kind of let slip that, yes, they're in first team training. They're not in full first team training. So they're participating in some things and not some other things. So I'd be very surprised if we saw Martinez or Casemiro, maybe one of them on the bench, maybe, but at a push. But the names that were ill last night, i.e. Eriksen, I think Ahmad was out with illness last night. Those names, you could say, okay. Anthony wasn't in the squad last night. The rumor is that he's got some sort of adductor issue, so he might be out of action for quite a while, actually. So Anthony might be out for the weekend. But possibly Mason Mount, they're saying, needs maybe a week or so more. Harry Maguire could be back in. So with that being said then, Flex, like, what
it's going to go between then. Sorry, I was just looking at the fixtures. So because we are through to the next round of FA Cup, it's late January. So there is going to be another game in January now because we made it. Yes.
Got another game.
Yeah, to be determined. It says 27th of Jan, but obviously it must be week of that. We might go to the Monday night again or when is that? 27th of Jan. So that'll be okay. So it's down as the Saturday, but could be Saturday 2 p.m. They'll put Man United on TV against
against Eastleigh or Newport.
Eastleigh or Newport. Yeah, that's a giant killer. So it could be late on the Saturday, could be Sunday 4:30. Like
could be the Monday again.
It could be the Monday again. Probably would be actually the Monday.
Yeah, or they could do. Remember, they had games on throughout this FA Cup weekend. Was it like Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday? So it could be any day. To be honest with you,
because even if it was, actually, it probably wouldn't be would it be the Monday? And they only give us two. No, it wouldn't be the Monday because we've got Wolves on the 1st. So right, can't make it the Monday. Yeah, that's only 2 days to prepare. So it's got to be minimum. It's got to be the Saturday. They've got to keep it on the Saturday. Maybe like a 12:30 or something.
Yeah, perhaps they might do something like
that. But there is an extra game because I was thinking there's only sort of one game, and so I was like the likes of Casemiro and Mount and Martinez. I was like, forget it. They're not going to be ready till the 1st of Feb. But actually, now there's another game there.
Might be the perfect game to bring it back for.
Yeah, let's give him a little run out. Exactly, give him a little run out and. It'd be nice for Newport or Eastleigh to get a full complement of players. But where was he? He was talking about the players back. Yeah, I think.
Yeah. So what does that team really look like then against Spurs at the weekend?
Against Spurs, not far off what it looks like now. To be honest, let's be honest. Because also players coming back in, are they going to start? I mean, Harry Maguire has been nearly there for quite a while, hasn't he? So he could.
Yeah. Well, they were insisting, like even when he got injured against Bayern, he was like, "Well, it's not that bad. It's a few weeks."
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while. What was that in December?
End of December.
Early December.
End of December because Bayern game was on like what?
No, that was early December.
Was that early December or was
Yeah,
it
end of December is
late-ish?
near Christmas. I think it was like early December, wasn't it?
United versus
Bayern
Bayern.
Munich. 12th. It was the 12th.
12th,
Mid
sort of
December. Yeah.
mid-December.
Mid-December. So he's been out since mid-December, and let's be honest, by the time it gets to that'd be literally mid-January, so it'd be a month then, really. By the time it gets to the weekend on the 14th. So I think Harry Maguire will probably start with Varane, I want to say.
Do you reckon? Do you reckon
We'll
it?
just drop Varane and just.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
think.
even know.
I
I
don't
don't
think.
know if he changed anything. I might not change anything when it comes to centre backs. Might be just
If Harry
Varane and
Maguire's
Evans.
fit. Maybe.
Kept the clean sheet last night.
Yeah, maybe. Luke Shaw, he said a maybe, didn't he?
Yeah, Luke Shaw said a maybe. I think that will be one
If
he
he's
won
back,
again.
if he's back, he'll play.
Yeah.
If he's not back, he just won't be in the squad. He won't have him back and just put him on the bench. It's either he's back or he's not. And I think Dalot will play right back because he's just doing all right at the minute. I think Wan-Bissaka's it's gone off a little bit. Like just obviously he's still going to be good in 1v1 situations, but actually I said it in my review yesterday that actually Dalot's all because we've been crap. It's not really been great. And sometimes he has, there are times he's been part of it as well. But recently he is sort of doing okay. Like,
Doing okay.
Yeah.
Do you think either maybe they looks at Wan-Bissaka and just goes, maybe some of Spurs' sort of wingers, if it gets into a bit of a one-on-one battle.
Because it is going to be transitional, yeah. It is. But then if Luke Shaw's not there, he'll just play Dalot left back anyway. So I think he'll be waiting to the last minute on that. But I think if he's pushed, I think he'll go Dalot. They won't have Son. Is Brennan Johnson still injured? I think he might be. Can't remember, but yeah. But whoever plays for Spurs, they're going to be transitional and running in behind and doing all madnesses. So midfield, I think Kobbie Mainoo will keep his place. We can see that now. Amrabat's gone. And Eriksen's only just come back. There's no Donny. He was never going to play
I think
anyway.
the Eriksen one depends how bad his illness is, isn't it? Because his quotes there, he's saying that he could be back. So I think if Eriksen's ready to go, I think he'd want him in that game because I look at that as the Spurs game could be very close to the Villa game at Old Trafford, which is they both play a very high line. So what's the tactic when you play a team against high line? Keep trying to knock the ball over the top, try and stay on side and just do them like that. And United, in fairness, against Villa, did that very well. They just couldn't stay on side. If they'd have stayed on side, we could have had so many more opportunities. So
it's the same thing.
Kind of been the practice has kind of really been there for that. So I think for a game like that, you really want Christian Eriksen because you want that kind of pinpoint, accurate. He'll get the pass every single time.
He was brilliant at that against
exactly.
That's his game. That's his game, isn't it? It's exactly the type of game for him. So I think he'll if all is well, he'll probably want to go Eriksen, Mainoo, Bruno, really.
Yeah,
I think
something like that.
Yeah, sometimes he likes to put Scott in for this fake physicality thing, but I think he's dumb. I think he only does that now when there's no other people to play, which is why Scott was playing the last time. And then front three, I think it'll be what we just saw. It'll be Højlund, Rashford, and Garnacho. Won't it really? I mean, it can't be anyone else. That's all we got.
Yeah, it's gonna. And I mean, and like out of those three, like last night, again, I thought Garnacho played well again the last night. Well. Hit the bar, was unlucky not to get an assist for a Højlund opportunity with the ball in the box. Rashford, I don't know, man. I really don't know. I mean, I saw it was quite funny because I think it was your player ratings, and I saw some of the people in the comments were like, "No, I can't believe Flex, you're watching a different game. Rashford got an assist," and they were bringing up some of the stats of Rashford. And I saw some accounts on Twitter do this, like, these were the stats during the game. He must have been great." And that's when you get into the territory of like the stats are one thing, and they can, as I always say, be manipulated to fit whatever opinion you want to give. But just on the eye test last night, Marcus Rashford was not good. He was not good last night. He struggled against the League One side. I thought he was erratic. I thought his decision-making was really, really bad at points as well. And you want to talk about body language. His body language is just not good. It's not good at all. To the point now where I'm starting to sympathize for him. I really am, because I had hoped for him that the time out of the side he had through bad form, injury, illness, whatever. I hope that would just, when he came back in, maybe he's not hitting the heights that he hit last season, but he would just be a bit better. But I feel like every time I watch him, he's getting worse. I really do. And the problem the United now find themselves with is like the alternatives are becoming less, you know.
Yeah,
Anthony's not
exactly.
that good and he's injured anyway. Palestri's going to be going out on loan. Ahmad's ill. So you're like, well, we've got to play him anyway. And also, I say we've got to play him. We've got to play the guy that we just given a new contract to. It's over 300K a week. He's meant to be the talismanic figure. And it's like, I don't know. And then when it comes to Højlund last night, I think the criticism of Højlund was fair. And I think that this might be somewhat a controversial opinion because some people are like, oh, they can't criticize him. You can. You can.
Why, exactly.
As a striker, if you have, I mean, these were gilt-edged chances as well. One of them is an open goal from like 6 yards out, or another one's a header from about the same distance, clip the bar. I'm not disputing the fact that Rasmus Højlund hasn't had service this season. He hasn't. Statistically and from the eye test, hasn't had service at all. But as a striker, when you get the ball 6 yards out from goal, and if you miss, you're allowed to get criticised because you should. As Roy Keane would say, that is your job. You know, particularly if you're a Man United striker, that is your job. And he'll be massively frustrated with himself, and he should be because that just ain't good enough at all. And that's not to say that, you know, he's terrible, he's washed, he's a flop, he's never going to work out Manchester United. That's not saying that at all. It's just saying last night, you're allowed to criticize him because he should have scored and he should have done better. And that's not like a, you know, crazy opinion. And I agree with you, Flex, that what we need to have, we just need to have that other option, whether it's an experienced person to help him, whether it's just another young person just to put him in and help him out. Whatever we can get, we just need more because there are going to be games, clearly, like last night, where you go, tell you what, Rasmus, ain't working out for you today. And then we can't be like, right, let's put Rashi up front, who's also not playing well. Yeah, it's against Wigan.
This is where he should, you know what I mean? Like I said, he should have went home with the match ball yesterday. Perfect opportunity to get all the players to sign it. Your first hat-trick in English football. You remember it for the rest of your career because it'll be a big moment. You know, the day I went to the DW, played in my first ever game in such a prestigious cup competition. You know, all the players signed it. It's a bit of memorabilia. Going to put it on my mantelpiece. That's what should have happened at the DW Stadium yesterday. Should have walked away with a match ball. Yeah. And the fact that he didn't, or at least that's what I'm saying. The fact that he didn't wasn't down to poor service. Wasn't down to he doesn't get enough chances. It was just down to him. You can say it. like you can't. Like, I know the term "you're good enough, you're old enough." You have to sort of be careful with that term because, you know, he deserves to be there on merit because they've decided he's good enough. But obviously, in theory, he's still going to need time. You're going to be raw. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to dip in form. So just because you are old enough to be there, even if you're young, we shouldn't just sort of say, well, it should be the finished article because you play for Man United, mate. You're up front. But there also needs to be, again, it's about balance. There also needs to be some level of sort of scrutiny or expectation to let you know that you know, to remind you are at Man United. Yes, you're 20, but mate, you're leading the line against 17th place Wigan in League One. Like, you miss gilt-edged chances. The manager needs to let him know that those ones were on him, because otherwise, what sort of message are you sending him? And I'm not doubting that he's got a strong mentality and he'll come through this. And in the long run, we'll look back at season 1 and be like, remember when he really, really struggled at the start? I do genuinely believe that. But in that 90 minutes, when you're dissecting what went wrong and who was at fault and why we didn't win the game by more, you have to talk about Rasmus Højlund.
Yeah,
it's his fault.
And it doesn't change the narrative. It doesn't change the narrative that, like, he hasn't got opportunities this season and the service has been crap to him this season, because it has. But in that game in particular, the service was good, and he missed the chances. Like, that's what sometimes I don't get with the argument I've seen over the last sort of 12 hours or so. As you go, I tell you what, he missed some big chances last night. He should have done a lot better. And people go, wow, the service has been bad to him this season. Yeah. You go, well, okay, that's fine, but that's a separate argument because that's not what happened last night. He should have.
Someone said that to me on Twitter. They said, yeah, but if the chances that he doesn't get chances, and I goes, he had 3 massive chances and missed all 3 tonight. What? I don't understand what. The previous 19 games or however long it is aren't to do with this. Like tonight, last night, he had loads of chances and should have scored.
Yeah,
should have scored 2.
I agree. Yeah, and they're not even. A couple of them wouldn't even like, wow, you know, not getting decent service, so he's not really used to that. I mean, these are, like I said, these are 6-yard outs. Yeah, on a plate. Like, you just can't have that. You know,
they're the exact type of chances you want when your confidence is not good.
Yeah, exactly.
Keeper's parried it. I've got an open goal pretty much.
The goal he scored against Villa, that's way more of a half chance than that, because it's a ricochet and he just swings the leg at it. It's just reaction. It's a great finish. That's not even comparable to the one against Wigan or the several against Wigan last night. And that's when I get into, like, everything's got to be black or white. Like the narrative is he hasn't had enough service this season, and you go, that's true, but it doesn't give you a blind pass for missing big chances in games particularly when you play for Man United. That's it. And that needs to. And I don't think we're saying anything here that he probably hasn't thought. He'll know. He'll go like, I tell you what, can't believe I didn't score last night. But
yeah, exactly,
that pressure that's on him.
Fine.
Is going to be more. It's going to be increased now because of that last night, and that's when he gets into the territory of everything circles back to recruitment. If United had recruited well, they'd have this alternative option. Not because Rasmus is rubbish or anything like that. Just be like, right, just take the pressure off him a little bit, and help him out. But we've got right now where it's Højlund or nothing. Højlund or nothing. And that pressure on someone that, let's face it, the quality, we're still kind of going, let's see. That is way too much. And that is way too much of a gamble. And it's just bad recruitment. Not because it's a bad signing, but because if you haven't put anything there to help him or facilitate him or be able to take him out of the side if it's not working very well, or take him out of the game.
And he should never have cost this money as well. He should never have cost that much.
It's just bad recruitment just across the board. And that sums up Man United.
S. Madison says, yeah, let's focus on Højlund when Rashford been awful for ages. If you just touch the video back about 3 or 4 minutes, you can probably get 15. Yeah, So just so you know, no, because S. Madison's probably just joined, because there's no way that S. Madison would have been watching the video and say something as silly as that. So he's probably just joined now and thinks we're just going in on Rasmus and haven't spoke about Rashford for about 15-20 minutes. So just touch it back, you'll see because there's absolutely no way you'd listen to what we've
it's the strange sort of the what about ism, because I saw this as well in one of the comments.
Yeah, S. Madison said just tuned in. Sorry, there you go. Exactly. When
you were talking about Rashford, and then sometimes people go, what about Bruno? What about Bruno? They're all playing rubbish. They're all rubbish. We'll get to them. They're
I can only talk about one topic at a time, one player at a time. I can't. Do you know what I mean? When you're listening to a clip or tuning in at some point or watching a video or whatever you might be, in the moment of talking about the one thing, I'm not bilingual. I ain't got loads of voice. I can only do one thing at a time. Like, and the truth is that they are exactly. There's so many. Like yesterday, I spoke about Scott's wastefulness. He should have had a couple.
Oh gosh, yeah.
A couple. I saw Ricky said he was a man of the match. Shock.
But some of it is crazy as well, because usually it's the case of, he doesn't offer anything to technical ability, but he scores goals. Last night he missed his chance. He offered nothing, just literally nothing. He just chances just missed all the time. Like again, last night people were sort of going, "Oh, why are you so angry? We got through. You realise we won," and I'm very happy we're through, and I'm happy with the draw we've got for the next round, because hopefully that means we're into the 5th round, and you never know what can happen in the FA Cup. And I understand maybe the level of your opposition, it can drag you down a little bit, but that was the strongest team we could put out last night in terms of the illnesses and all that kind of stuff. And part of it was tough to watch. I said during the match view, at points the football was diabolical. It was, again, us going forward in terms of our link-up play. My goodness me. I said, it's like, it's not even, when they go, the team's going through the gears now. It's going through the gears, but you're slipping into the wrong gear all the time. The gearbox is broken. And you get that, because you can feel it when you're doing it. Like, it sort of get to the final third. Then the players sort of look like they're going, I don't know which pass I'm going to do. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Then maybe Bruno will just try, and eventually it leads to either Bruno, Rashford, or someone. They'll try a shot, goes over the bar, blocked, try and play the ball through like 5 players, blocked, counter-attack. And it's like, oh my God, it's a tough watch. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to win games this season, because we've won games playing like that. And we'll still win games playing like that, but it does catch up to you. Like it does. And as well, like, you can single out individual players, and we do. And then people get into the what about is, and what about this one? What about that one? They're all rubbish.
Rubbish. Exactly. That's the key. Like, all equally is rubbish. You can't just only single out one person, and it does take you a while to get round the room to address them all. Milan says, Phil with Ten Hag must be. He was, Phil with 10. He was a 6 at most. What? Yesterday. Oh, Phil with,
is that Rashford?
Yeah,
being a number 10.
He was a 6 at most yesterday. I think he misses a left-footed fullback to support him. 20 cuts in. went on the left. Not a 2, but he did seem to take the opportunity, the opponent lightly, unlike 17 gave 100%. Trying to think of all the bloody numbers. Who's 20? Is that Dallo?
Yes.
Yeah,
That's
he's not a
Dallo.
2, so he's not a right back. Seems to take on the opponent lightly, unlike 17 gave 100%. Who was 17 yesterday?
Garnacho.
Garnacho, right, there you go. Right. We got there at the end. I like what you did there. Keep the letters down. And V33 says, how is Diego Forlan a cult hero, missing tons, and a kid just starting out being berated? Would it be the same if Fergie was the manager? Support the kid.
I think the
V33.
comparison's a bit tough because
Mm.
the Diego Forlan's a cult hero because he got 2 goals at Anfield and he
Yeah,
did score
exactly.
some
It's
sort
the
of big goals
moments.
towards the end.
It's
It
the
was
moments.
the moments. And look, and the Forlan thing is kind of wild because again he didn't score for so long, and then when he did score, he
Yeah.
took his shirt off and he couldn't get it back on. You know, it's
Yeah.
classic. But I mean, I think again he's more remembered for being a cult hero, more so for the Liverpool goals. Really, I think that's what people
Yeah.
remember him for, isn't it? I'm trying to think of
Exactly.
other big goals that he scored. He scored a great goal against Chelsea as well. But
Yeah,
that's what it's really all about. And you only become a cult hero once you've left. Your career's over. So
exactly.
Rasmus
Like,
might
give him a
be.
chance.
Rasmus might
Yeah,
be.
exactly. It's not. He's not Rasmus. I don't see it as Rasmus Højlund being berated. I just think it's just fair criticism. Like, you can't just play for Man United and just not get. No one can ever look at what you do because you've just got this bubble around you. It's like, I'm immune from every single bit of shit that might happen. When it's actually like you in front of the goal who missed. Like, you can say it in that 90 minutes. The next game is another whole different game against Spurs, and I hope that he can score. You know, when we were praising the hell out of him after Aston Villa because again he fed off scraps. It was a game he fed off scraps, and John McGinn had to give him a chance. Do you know what I mean? So it was the same thing. This game he didn't feed off scraps and was given loads of opportunities and didn't score. Polar opposite to Aston Villa. 1 chance, 1 goal against Villa, and yesterday he had probably about 5 shots. Really, 3 should have scored and 2 that are kind of like speculative from what I remember. So. Got to do better. Smash the like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Plenty of content coming up for you this week in the lead up to the Spurs game. Lots of previews, fan clash, expressions, KG. I think we're going to get Abby on the channel as well. Tapping Tobes. Mate, the build up. Let me know what kind of vibe you want me to take. You know what I'm saying? There's no point asking what kind of vibe you want KG to take with expressions. That's all out war. That's going to be comedy gold and passion gold. But Abby, as you've seen on DR, she's too big for her boots at the minute. You know what I mean? She's always throwing little backhanders. We need to just, you know what I'm saying, just pipe them back down a little bit. But if they come and beat us, it's peak. It's going to be peak for me on Monday in DR and vice versa. And yeah, just with the trolling. So a lot going on. So let us know the take you want to see on that. As I said many times or a couple of times in the video is brought to you by Cracks Oli. We're doing some great work with them. The link to all of their gear is in the video description below. Just click it, take a look for yourselves. I'm not just saying it. Obviously, I've got my Cracks Oli t-shirt on today. You can get yours off the website. They do everything from winter wear to summer wear to football wear, soccer wear out there in LA. Big brand on the way up as well. And just a little sneak. I just want you in the chat. All I want you to do in the chat is raise your hand or put a fire emoji or a fist pump or a hands up, however you want to do it. Put a signal in the chat, a sign in the chat if you've always been looking forward to United View merch. That's all I want you to do. That's all I want you to do. I'm not saying any more stuff. I'm just saying if you've been one of the people who have either always thought it to yourself, like, I want to get United View merch, or bigger still, been on here saying, when's it coming? If you've been one of them people or that excites you, just drop it. Just drop it in the chat as we leave. When I read this last super chat. Milan says, lads, do you think our weak attack is an Erik Ten Hag issue or players? Take out Marcus Rashford's goals last season, team will be performing similar to this season. Yeah, it's an everything thing. The players that Ten Hag's bought ain't really done anything. We just spoke about Rasmus and the struggles he's got. We spoke about Anthony not being able to do anything. And then Rashford's dropped off. Bruno's dropped off. So it's a bit of both. There are a lot of emojis in there as well. So we will leave it there. Anyway, take care, guys. Smash a like. See you guys soon. Peace.